people who do not find themselves. So people who do not welcome their inner child adult, who do not uncover all that is from within. Okay, they don't find the wisdom and the beauty of their self. Okay, so when you do not resolve your ego self and that which is from your first 8 years of life in a way of you being the conscious owner. So if you don't find yourself, you're not going to find the inner harmony, and the inner harmony of mind, heart, body are how you own that destiny. So doing Dharma is straightforward for those of us who own ourself. But if you don't find and ever own and seek yourself, you're going to stagnate. You're going to stagnate, in fact, into what is not only your first 3 years of life plus that 8, at least according to those lovely attachment trauma therapists, all people who don't go and get home to their inner child. So you don't see yourself, you don't soothe yourself, you don't secure yourself safe. Okay, that's where the attachment system is in the lead. The self comes with the attachment system. The first year of your life counts, and feminine, masculine, mental, emotional, physical intelligence. Okay, so with mindfulness and spiritual living or loving and or both actually here at HP because you can't love without living. Okay, when you have a self, which is what I have, you learn from your family. So you learn from your family, and wherever it is that you're different than your family, you're not going to stagnate. You're going to know how to differentiate. It's called I'm a whole 3-year-old heart. You're a whole 3-year-old heart when you can say to your loved ones, this is who I am, and I'm not changing. But it's not because you're going to be an asshole to them, okay? So we know how to be with integrity. So your brain, you use the neuroplasticity like anybody else, and that's in the bright ways. And that's why you use more of your prefrontal cortex. So mindful living and loving equals a person who owns thyself. If people do not get home to their self, so they don't see, soothe, safe, secure, they will stagnate and they will become someone very, very boring. And they will not have an ego self. They'll just have an ego, and they're using the dark sides of neuroplasticity, which means that shame, blame, fault, revenge, and any of those stories from a Cusco to Pinocchio to the squirrel is what we're going to get to see from them. So again, they don't grow wiser, they don't heal, and they don't learn to become from the heart because they don't learn how to do emotional and mental processing like an inner child adult does, which is what we do here. So the inner child adult is the functional adult. That's why right now with the eclipse, you're getting ready to embark on what is true love, true loving relationships. That's healthy self-worth men, women, and theys, as well as your own path, your quest is full of bliss, delight. You're happy. You can't wait. So unlike Elsa, who says that she is afraid of the unknown, but she longs to go, which is a total teenage attitude, quote unquote. So the fight response is where the teenage attitude is at, how I explain it. It's not harmony between ego self. It's a bullshit ego that has no self except for the child parts that are leading the way in a very stagnating way. You're going to notice they have superhero capes, supervillain capes. They say, I'm working with my light side today. I'm bright and pretty. Then I'm going to be the monster of myself, which basically looks like a squirrel from Cusco land. That equals a human being who's an adaptive child part of their self. Blamers, superior martyrs. They're codependent and they don't know how to handle when their own implicit or explicit biases and my likes, dislikes, right? So we were talking about that. So I have that ego awareness of myself and others, and then I have the self-awareness of myself and others. And so I have consciousness and subconscious and conscious, and I'm a healthy self-worth, empowered self-worth person with enlightenment. That's why I have no laundry. So whenever emotions are coming up, it's cool, it's good, it's not bad. And that's where, as a person who's also mystic, if you're a mystic with clairs, you will know as the feminine, I'm talking as a feminine, masculines, they don't come into enlightenment the same way. It's not impressive. Again, this is my personal opinion where I know where it comes from, which is why I'm balancing out. I love you, ego. I will look to work with my charge. There we go. I said it out in public. That way I can remember my words. I'm not kidding with y'all. So my enlightening moment has been this, is that I don't appreciate anyone who's stagnating and having the capacity to notice that they could have found wisdom and beauty within their own heart. Wow, it's a sad story, but it's none of my business, okay? And that is where we will stand when you know your own inner harmony and you know what true love is and relationships. It's called If I Don't See You as Beautiful. So when people are busy with their quest from a teenage attitude, which is a stagnating pool of karma, it's not a bad thing. It just means we have Cuscos and squirrels, and you see them on YouTube all over the place, between fancy suits to yelling and scream. This teenager version is what I want you to keep in mind, because it's the charged part that typically leads the way. The 16-year-old, I learned it from one of my courses. It's not a set in stone deal. It is one of my courses, and adding the dots and then me bringing it to you. So you just hear, you take what resonates, you leave what doesn't. In the meantime, I've noticed how many years? 2007? What year is it? 2024. Do the math. So I've been a mystic since 2007 with clairs. And I know of the 5D frequency like the back of my hand. And so every time I'm being given the opportunity to expand, I do, which is why they're not mistakes. But I can tell you about stagnating people. Okay, that's what we're going to do. I think we'll do that in our next episode. Where are you? I thought, yeah, you know what? I'm going to do it in yes, one of them. So I'm going to do storytelling. In the meantime, I'm going to close this one out, leave it short. So you have wisdom in the emotions that come up and beauty in the thoughts that come up. But it's only if you harmonize them, and you do so independently from your family, your loved ones. You respect the laws. You become a member of society. Living mindfully and spiritually means that you want to support all, not just some. You work with the charges, because the charges are your self with your ego. And every time you are contemplating with the inner growth mindset and with love and forgiveness. So again, we're all imperfect and flawed. That's what keeps me always on my feet, is that I have lovely people who say, hey, remember, you like forgiving. Some don't, Maria. Hey, remember, so ego self people that are harmonious, they are the ones that keep me in check, because they are balancing out their masculine and feminine too. And they're also seeking to be mentally, emotionally, physically intelligent and intelligence. And they want to master themselves. So they take pride in being a person, in being a human who's evolving, expanding, for them, they'll use the word changing. Once they own their sense of self, they will notice that they're expanding. Like I expand always, because I didn't have rupture. I did not disrupt my own self, because I had the perfect environment within the household. So my attachment system went well. I forgave myself as an adolescent and my ego and all of that. And I kept trucking along. And today you find me here with the very nice balance that I keep maintaining. And it is thanks to the ego self, the self-awareness of mind that I have, ego self. So if you don't see me as important from the heart, and that has taken place more than once. I love people with my heart. I don't love you with my mind, like the Rumi quote. So I will never be separate from any of the people that I love. That's why polyamory is a beautiful community. Those of you who don't know of it, securely attached polyamorous people, we have healthy self-worth. We don't do the masochist thing, and we're okay with you teasing. We get it. Some people think whores, unfaithful. You don't like that we love more than one person in more than a friendship way. I'm so sorry that you don't like it. You don't have to call us names. This is how it works when you help people to understand we're different. Your ego self different, my ego self different. Isn't that how we work? Differentiated selves. So when you're a equanimous person all the time, it's because you can be yourself with no shame. I'm not ashamed of who I love and how many, and I'm not ashamed that you don't agree with me. Your judgment and your opinion and societal little boxes don't have me feeling shame, because I own myself, my sense of self with my own ego, and harmonizing it is easy. It's called, I have humble. No guilt, no shame. You don't have to like me. I'm not, you didn't hit anything, you see? That's a part. You didn't hit my gut. You didn't hit my heart. And I'm not in the forest, so I don't need to bow down to you because of being afraid. I'm not with unfaced fears of being Maria. This is when you're an inner child adult. It's called I see myself. I soothe my nervous system when you don't like me. I'm also safe because I'm saying, yeah, so I'm different, flawed, whatever. What words do you want to use? I'm secure, and I stand here in front of you as an inner child adult / functional adult who says, okay, I see. So I am in love and hold love and cherish you. You have there's no love, no cherishing, no impact, none of this. It's all not even cerebral. It's more of, you know, how people work. So the stories that I'll share is when people are out of convenience. I have one of my closest friends. I met him a long time ago, and I knew what he was like because I remember noticing how he consistently only made friends and did things based on his own self interest. So he's a perfect example of ego, but he's also a perfect example of how I learned about the people who have a 1 year old and 3 year old that fears rejection, abandonment, all the child wounds. Yes. And so they manifest as a Cusco who ends up with a Pacha who still lies to Pacha. So again, liar, liar, pants on fire. But then with the attachment trauma, what you understand is people will only own their first 8 years of life and then those 16. So they're unconscious, subconscious. If they go to a good therapist, get healed, and become humble, and then they can engage. Humble means that if I and you don't match, so again, I don't match, meaning that I love you from the heart, you don't. You have no interest. I don't enrich your life. I'm going to be able to accept that with forgiveness and balance. Why forgiveness? Because of the heartbreak, right? And it's not forgiveness, though, because you did something wrong and I did something right. It's like the kind intention, mindful living. Kind intention, as I process in my awareness the emotions that come up. Okay, so instead of stagnating in a pool that will be just a adaptive child, maladaptive child patterns of behaviors, the people that fuck, they do drugs, they drink, they waste their life away like that. It's unfortunate business. The ones who end up with Stromboli type relationships, they end up with people who treat them like shit. The people who are prancing around with their charges, they're all people that I know could tap into what their masculine can become, their mind. They're not, because their feminine is also not of their interest. They're not taking the emotions that come up and with focused attention and in awareness do the kind intention and balance out again. I may be meaningless to you. You are not meaningless to me. My heart is broken because it's about connection, but it's not broken because it's a muscle. I can forgive. I can rebalance. I can regain myself because I'm not a dying piece of consciousness. And it's because I have my own island, my own back integrity, family, all that stuff. So I have a solid family foundation. Means I have secure attachment, a whole self. I didn't lose Maria. She's beautiful just the way she is. And the wisdom is flawed and perfect. Yes, aren't we all? No need to say broken heart, scars. It's not. It's emotions. The Zen master calls his emotions laundry. This is what it is. The beauty of spirituality and the beauty of mindful living in the practice is what I'm giving it to you. And some people say, I want to do it. I want to not. If you do that, that's your option. So when sadness comes up, you say, I don't want to do it. You don't build resiliency. You don't move in your prefrontal cortex. So your quest is basically, I'm going to keep using my temporal junction. And instead of growing wisdom from the heart and the mind and the body and accepting myself the way I am without feeling that I'm doing something wrong, that I'm ashamed. So this is the getting out of the shame continuum and the shame cycle completely. Guilt, fault, all of that, revenge, it's insecurity. You decide that you can grow to be who you want to be instead of dissipate in the illusion of that which is society's idea of you have to suffer in order to get anywhere. The fight response is really boring. So impartiality is the land of the truth. It's called equanimity. And the people say, no, it's not. That sounds like you're not a person. You don't have it. No, that sounds like your ego is ruling the way and you don't notice what equanimity is because you're not trying to, again, create wisdom from the heart with your emotions and know that we're all different. And the miracle of this is that you can always renew yourself. Love these cards. Yeah, so renewal. It's really fun. I was looking for another one, but it's not coming out. So I will leave it alone. However, enlightenment is also a yellow card. I was looking for that one. But people who don't move past their insecurities and become in the impartiality wise, they don't harmonize their ego self, their masculine, feminine. They don't become masters of their mental, emotional, physical plane. They don't move into the intelligence they could be, which is healthy, self-worth, empowered people. So enlightenment is really fun. Bliss, delight. It's amazing. So no stagnating. In fact, when we have, for example, twin flame and or flames, the passion is there and the emotions. The only ones who don't know what it is to be passional, passion is people who they're stagnating in their own ego, and they have that 16-year-old who knows everything. So it's called, again, adaptive child part. So I know everything about everything, and I'm going to keep proving. So the one focus, they are now stagnating, and they will become a specific type of repeat, but they will serve something. Peter Pan's served the Lost Boys who want that type of message. Okay, so remember, we're all part of the same energy, but we all have differences in that which we will want to expand to become. It's not good or bad. It is your capacity to choose thyself, become aware of thyself, move into self-empowerment and enlightenment, be a harmonious ego self, a harmonious masculine feminine, also a harmonious mental, emotional, physical plane again, and the part about owning your own destiny, so it's dharma, and you get to live every day with expansion. So instead of laundry like the Zen master, you have emotions, and then you safely share them with those who are intelligent and masculine feminine intelligence like you are. 5D frequency. It's unconditional love, it's forgiveness, it's balance, and nobody has to be too much around. We have some people who are this. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So the stories of stagnating energy people and what it's like to meet them. Again, we love them just the same as we loved them yesterday, but we have nothing to share except for we'll be polite about it because, they don't know. Yeah. So, okay, we'll be back in a little bit. Thank you for stopping by. Like, share, and subscribe. And see you again soon.